All right, guys, welcome back. Hold My Helmet Football Podcast. I'm your host, Will Reichling. No Dylan Boyle today. It's just all by myself in my room, in my podcast room. I'll be moving out of here very shortly. This is actually, I'm 28, staying at my parents' house, but I actually just bought a condo with my girlfriend, so we should be moving. I should be out of here shortly. And when I do these solo episodes, out of my own room, my own podcast area, it'll be nice. It'll be nice for sure. And Dylan's not here in this episode. He's got to do his thing, his job. He's actually a broker. I got to do my job sometimes. I'm an engineer, so people think we just sit here and we're trying to get big with just doing the podcast, but no, we have our personal lives, our personal aspirations with our careers, our jobs, and Dylan's trying to make it in the real estate business as a broker. I mean, he got his license towards being a real estate agent. Now he's going in a field where he's more of a broker, associate broker. And I actually got my master's in engineering, so I'm an engineer right now. I got promoted to quality manager at my job, so we're both doing pretty well. But we do this just for the passion of doing this podcast. That's really what this is all about. I was itching for the longest time listening to sports radio, saying, I really, feels like a passion to me. I remember like a year and a half ago, I was talking to my girlfriend. We were on a trip to Atlantic City. I always call it the poor man's Vegas, by the way. But I was talking about just spitting the idea of possibly doing a podcast to her. I was just basically ranting. Not really ranting, but kind of just saying how I feel. I thought I was going to get kind of a negative reaction, but she actually reacted very positively to the whole situation. Said she'll help me make the art for my what is it called? My profile picture, my logo, the Hold My Helmet logo. Yeah, she made that. So props to Bridget, thank you. And yeah, just kind of go on a little rant to start the episode, but just about how we're very passionate about what we do here, and we're closing in on 2 seasons of doing this, and I will say there's been a lot of ups and downs, but at the end of the day, nothing makes me feel better than when I see engagement and comments on the videos. So just keep subscribing, and sharing, and just keep supporting us. And we're going to keep doing our best here. We're not giving up anytime soon. And yeah, that's really all I have to say about that. We just have our own lives. I've gotten some comments where it's get a job, get a real job. Dude, I have a real job. You're the bum here commenting to me. So it's just stop. It's kind of crazy because the way you see things on videos, it's that guy doesn't know what he's talking about. That guy's a bum. He probably just sits in his mom's basement, does podcasts all day. No, I have a life. I have aspirations. I got my master's degree in engineering. It's not you see some of these majors, and you kind of question it a little bit. Not one of those. So, and Dylan's doing very well for himself too. So that guy is working all hours of the day. On Sunday, he couldn't even watch some of these games because he was working all day. And sometimes you have to do that. You have to make sacrifices for your job. And being a football NFL podcast person, a host, co-host, he's my co-host, I'm the host. We're both hosts. I guess we're all hosts here, right? But getting a little off topic there. But I guess what I'm trying to say is, even though we the job is to watch every single game and analyze and know what you're talking about, write your notes and everything, even sometimes the best of analysts, especially people on the radio that aren't making that much money, there's some people you listen to on the radio, in New York is WFAN, they're probably making $60,000-$70,000 a year, some of these producers and radio hosts in the middle of the night, and they gotta work other jobs, and it's hard to balance that a little bit. So just a little 4 or 5 minute rant there. Dylan, I feel you. All support here, man. Do what you gotta do. He's out there he's living, he's pursuing his dreams. This is one of our dreams, but most people have multiple dreams. For me, it's get a family, buy a house, get big with the podcast. Not big, but just I want people to watch this and enjoy it. I hope we get there one day. Career aspirations. I want to become a big time engineer, or just. There's a lot of things that we can go into. Maybe one day I would like to flag football. That's one of there's passions you have, and there's aspirations, and then there's making money at the end of the day. Love playing flag football. I pay $100 every season plus a $10 a week ref fee to play flag football. I'm an engineer because I want to make more money. Everyone's got their thing, and sometimes football can get in the way of that. But it's only 4 months, so we endure it. It's been enjoyable. It really has. The game's gotten big, and it just feels bigger at the NFL. It feels like if you miss a game, you fucked up in a way. My birthday was Wednesday. my friends brought me out Thursday. Kind of missed a lot of that Niners-Rams game, and I felt a little guilty about it. But, like, sometimes you have the right to do what you gotta do, but you might not make it in this podcast business if you're missing games. Like, that's not okay. Like, how am I supposed to go on and talk about Niners-Rams now if I have no idea, like, what the fuck happened? Obviously, I watched the highlights. I watched the condensed. Like, I watched the game now, but, like, I wasn't there for the feel of the game in the moment, like, the reactions. And I think that's sometimes what's get overlooked, like, with people that do podcasts in the NFL. Like, the amount of work you have to put in, the notes, the angles. Like, really doing podcasts, you watch it and you're like, you watch games and you're like, what angle am I getting at here? Like, sometimes you watch a really good game with really two good teams and you're like, okay, that was a great game. I really have nothing to take away from either team. So, like, it's all about your passion, yes, but it's also about getting views at the end of the day. At the end of the day, you want to engage viewers. So, a little bit of a beginning rant here, but I feel like I usually start the episodes and go right into the games and everything. But I feel like some once in a while you have to make it more relatable to you. And where I'm getting at here is Buffalo Bills, Detroit Lions. My whole life being a Jets fan, the Buffalo Bills have been, I actually felt bad for them. I hated the Patriots, hated the Dolphins. Buffalo, I always kind of felt bad for a little bit. Why? I mean, they were not a very good franchise until really Josh Allen got there, really until Sean McDermott got there. Now all of a sudden you see they have a culture. And Joe Brady, I mean, let's be honest. When he took over as interim coach last year, I was like, okay, you just ran the ball more. Like, you didn't really design. I didn't think he was like a great play caller. I just think he did the obvious. He did what all the fans were saying. Give Josh Allen the running game. You got James Cook. He kind of just did what people were like, okay, you're the OC now. You know what everyone's been saying to do. Just do it. Run the ball more. But now I'm seeing some of these plays. Like, he's actually building. Like, he started with the basis, run the ball, and now he's starting to build on his play calling. He, like, on fourth down, Ty Johnson had a beautiful wheel route, kind of like had like a little 2-yard pick, a legal pick essentially, and he was wide open down the sideline. Like, these are the play calls I'm seeing from Joe Brady that's setting up Josh Allen for success. So Joe Brady's kind of evolving as a play caller at the same time. So it's like Josh Allen's evolving, Joe Brady's evolving, James Cook's coming on. You have two really good tight ends, Kincaid and Knox, and Kincaid has honestly improved more and more as these 2 seasons have gone on for him. Amari Cooper's been a little non-existent, but I think he'll come through in the playoff time. He'll be there. And now to spin into the other side, the Lions too. Similar situation. Always kind of felt bad for the Lions. They were kind of like, again, Jets fans. So I understand what it is to be a laughingstock in this league. They were always, especially like the last couple of years, besides last year, the last few years before last year, they were always the hunting. Now they're kind of the hunted. And the first couple games, they were dominant. I thought they were the best team in the league. I thought this was their year to win the Super Bowl. Now it's just too many injuries on defense. It's too many injuries on defense, and you lose Montgomery. I thought Montgomery and Gibbs this season was the best running back duo potentially of all time. Top 5 at least. The best this year by far. And Gibbs is still a star. I love Gibbs. Hey, I got him on my fantasy team. But losing David Montgomery, you kind of lose that 1-2. David Montgomery's more of a downhill runner. And Gibbs can run downhill. But having Montgomery being able to run downhill sets up Gibbs in the passing game and on the outside runs. So you're kind of losing that what makes you special on offense. David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs. So that's 1. 2, you have your starters getting injured on defense. The backups to the stars getting injured in defense. And now this game, like, more players getting injured on defense. So you're almost kind of screwed here if you're the Lions. And I really feel for Detroit Lions fans because other than the Jets and the Browns, the Jags, they have been like the laughingstock of the league. They've never won a Super Bowl. Have been so embarrassed. Like, they had Stafford for years, never really did anything. You could blame Stafford for part of that, but like, they just been for just the longest time a laughingstock in the league. And then they trade for Jared Goff, trade Stafford away, get a couple picks for that. And people think that Jared Goff's just going to be a placeholder for when they draft the quarterback. And Jared Goff has went out there and been a top 10 quarterback at times. And the Lions have been, I thought they were the best team in the league this year, and I thought it was their year. Now with all these injuries, I don't know. But even the offense kind of rolled this game, but they started off slow. the reason the Bills kind of got a little bit of ahead is because the Lions started off a little slow. Jared Goff kind of fumbled. I mean, they got the ball back, but Jared Goff has smaller hands. He's not mobile. He has smaller hands. You pressure him, you hit him, the ball's going to come out a lot of times. That's just what's going to happen. That's what's going to happen. They get back into the game. The line, look, he still made some great throws, Jared Goff. That touchdown throw to Amon-Ra St. Brown over the middle, that was a layered throw. Not every NFL quarterback can make layered throws. You wish they could, but they can't. That's a throw that Josh Allen makes, Justin Herbert makes, Joe Burrow makes, Patrick Mahomes makes. So when Goff has time, he could be a potential top 5 quarterback. I mean, there's just so many talented quarterbacks in the league. He probably wouldn't be top 5. I'm probably more like top 8. But Jared Goff with time, you saw that with Amon-Ra St. Brown, that touchdown, some throws to Laporta. Goff kept him in the game with his throwing ability, and they worked the Bills' defense too. Don't get me wrong. But you're down 10. You basically have a full 12 minutes left in the fourth quarter. You have a full quarter to go, and Dan Campbell decides to call an onside kick. There's two different things here. There's two different levels to Dan Campbell's aggressiveness. Like the aggressiveness of going for it on fourth down, and the aggressiveness of kicking an onside kick. Going for it on fourth down, I mean, for the Lions, like they're usually an over 50% team. Like over half the times, maybe 60%. I don't know. I don't have the exact number in front of me. But when the Lions go for it on fourth down, the majority of the time, they get it. Because usually it's fourth and short. They have a great running game. The best offensive line in the league. They get it. Onside kicks are different now. You have to declare it. It has to be in the fourth quarter. Everyone knows it's coming. They know it's coming. And it's a little sad because it's a boring play. You know what's going to happen. Most of the times it just gets easily recovered by the other team. Very rare do you actually recover an onside kick as the kicking team, let alone have a scramble for the ball where it's like, oh, who's going to get it? And then the receiving team ends up getting it anyway. So that was just such an obvious what are you doing kind of thing. And I get it. Your defense kind of sucks right now. I mean, it's decimated with injury. You have to understand if you're a Lions fan and just an NFL analyst in general, you have to understand the defense is decimated. So it's kind of like it showed, one, he doesn't trust the defense, but two, it's just like that was just bad. Like the odds of you actually getting that back was very... It wasn't going to happen, man. The second time you did it, you actually almost got it back. I think that's what more teams should do in the onside kick. You know, just have a kicker, like run, kick it, and just like kick it up the middle and run after it. Like what Jake Bates did in that second onside kick, I was like, wait, that actually could possibly work if you try to do that. So I'd be interested to see moving forward if onside kicks are more effective doing it that way, because that was pretty interesting. But like Dan Campbell, culture builder, but like. The Lions have been the hunter for so long. Now they're the hunted, and sometimes you gotta be a little conservative when you're the favorites in these games, because as time plays out, the favorite usually pulls through. Like if you go to overtime, you play more time in the game. Not in this situation, just in general. The more time that's played in the game, as time goes on, the favorite's gonna pull more and more through. That's just how the law of averages work. And the Lions. I mean, in this case, were they the favorite? I mean, probably not because they were so decimated with injuries, but they still have a bravado on offense where they could have pulled themselves back into this game. They didn't do that onside kick, so they kind of like set themselves up for failure at that point. And they're just too injured on defense. I said this about 2 or 3 times at this point. I thought it was their year to win the Super Bowl, to go to the Super Bowl and win it. I'm starting to pull back a little bit because it's just like so decimated. It's so decimated with injuries, that team. And just the David Montgomery injuries, like icing on the cake for them. It's going to be tough. And Gibbs is a star. I think Gibbs could be a top 5 running back next year. I think he's a top 10 running back right now. But just that 1-2 punch is what made them special. Now that you didn't only lose your defensive pieces, Aiden Hutchinson. Sorry, a little bit of a lisp there. Aiden Hutchinson, like a lot of back end pieces. You lost so much on the defense, but losing David Montgomery is you almost like lost your identity a little bit. Like losing players is one thing. Losing who you are, that's tough. That's got to be tough. And for Buffalo, the sky's high right now. The sky's high. Like I said, like I used to feel bad for them. Now I kind of hate them. I'm jealous of what they have. The star quarterback, Josh Allen, and as far as MVP this season, I really think it would either be right now between Lamar or Josh Allen. I would go with Josh Allen right now. I mean, he's beating elite teams. Lamar, the Steelers game. You have games with Lamar where you're like, what just happened there? I mean, 2 weeks ago, Josh Allen played one of the worst games I've ever seen, too. But, like, Josh Allen, this is like a different type of Josh Allen right now. It's like he knows the right thing to do at all times. It's like a little weird the way he's doing it right now. My friend Dylan had a great point. Trading Stephon Diggs away, maybe that made him feel like, okay, I don't have to force feed the ball anymore. A little bit of what Jalen Hurts is going through with A.J. Brown. A little bit of what, on Thursday, the Brock Purdy was going through with Deebo Samuel. Happens a lot. He didn't have that. He has a bunch of rookies, tier 2, 3 receivers. Now he's like, I'm the boss now. So good for the Bills. This might be their year. And I do think they could beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. And I do think they would beat the Chiefs in the playoffs. This actually was going to be my Super Bowl Bills Lions. I still got the Bills going to the Super Bowl. Don't really know about the Lions as much anymore. So we gotta reconsider the NFC a little bit. Speaking of the Eagles, though, Steelers-Eagles, I mean, I actually picked the Steelers to win this game, but the Eagles just have shown time and time again that the talent on this team and the coordinators, those two coordinators, Kellen Moore, Vic Fangio, just overwhelmingly come through, and this propels the team to victory. And what I saw in this game, what stuck out to me the most, I really think Jalen Hurts and A.J. Brown are just fine. He had the touchdown where Jalen Hurts threw it to A.J. Brown. The first thing A.J. Brown did was run right to Jalen Hurts, hug him, start dancing. I think they're boys. I really think they're boys. And Jalen Hurts looked so comfortable in this game. When you got the running game going, when A.J. Brown's cooking, Devontae Smith. A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith is the best 1-2 in the league. Though Devontae Smith is an elite number 2. And you saw in this game when these receivers are clicking, Jalen Hurts is very comfortable in this team. He's very comfortable. And you have Sirianni and Jalen Carter with the position coach kind of arguing, Big Don breaking it up. This is exactly what it's kind of crazy because Sirianni, me and my partner Dylan, you have shitted on this guy a lot. We have. I'll be honest about that. But honestly, I'm starting to think that they wouldn't want it any other way, the Eagles. Like, Sirianni is the perfect coach for Philadelphia. He's loud, flamboyant, out there, just big bravado, alpha, just wears his personality on his sleeve. You see his emotions on his sleeve. He's one of those guys, how Philadelphia, they win the Super Bowl, they set their city on fire. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but you kind of get it. Like, the passionate, he embodies Philadelphia, Nick Sirianni. So, yeah. Do I wonder what he does sometimes as far as play calling? Yes, I do. But the team is kind of taking on the personality of Nick Sirianni. Loud, they're going to get in your face. And, I think they're going to patch it up, Sirianni and whatever happened on the sideline. But, it's just like, it kind of all embodies what's going on there. It's like so chaotic, but great at the same time. That's what Philadelphia is. So Nick Sirianni is kind of embodying what this team is all about. And what that city's all about for the last, this has always been a well-run franchise that kind of, firing Andy Reid and stuff, Doug Peterson winning a Super Bowl, firing him. They kind of know when to move on from coaches. So, I'm going to trust Howie Roseman for hiring Sirianni because he knows what he's doing. He's shown it time and time again. So, and Sirianni is one of the best records of all time so far for a head coach in his position. So, right now, I mean, the wins just say it all. I gotta give him the benefit of the doubt. I would prefer my offensive head coach to call plays, and he tried for a little bit and it wasn't successful. And the second he handed it off, it was a different story with the other guy. But, if they're winning games and you see this team has a personality, they have an identity now, you gotta give them credit. You have to. And that's really all I have to say about that game. It's not much about the Steelers. I don't really think less of them after that game. They're playing Baltimore this week, and I'm going to pick Baltimore in that, but I don't really think this has much to do with the Steelers as much as it has to do with the Eagles. So impressive win by the Eagles for sure. All right. The game that it's actually funny. Let me take a sip of water right here. I need to prepare for this. Sometimes your lips get a little dry. You get a little bit of... Sometimes you get some phlegm when you talk in the microphone. I feel like you have to kind of let it all out. So sometimes you need a little bit of sip of water. So bear with me, guys. Sorry. But I say this because Brock Purdy, 49ers, Rams. I kind of said a lot about how I didn't watch this game on the spot. I was out with my friends, enjoying my birthday. But went back and watched it. Brock Purdy wasn't good. Yeah, they were kind of force-feeding Deebo in the beginning, and he wasn't coming through. But Brock Purdy just hasn't been the same quarterback as the last 2 years. He was setting NFL records in his first 2 seasons as quarterback. And now he's kind of fell off a cliff a little bit. I think he's got 15 touchdowns, 9 picks. That is not a $50+ million a year quarterback. It's not. I'm sorry. That was one of the ugliest games all year long. And Brock Purdy just hasn't been good all season. I mean, like, Debo obviously isn't the same guy. Let's be honest. Ayuk out for the year. McCaffrey came back for a little bit, gone. But, like, just when you lose a couple of guys, you still have Kittle out there. You still have Jawan Jennings. Garendo looks like he could be a good straight line runner. You have some pieces on defense. It's not like you don't have a team at all. So for him to go out there and fall off a cliff, it's pretty concerning. And you hear reports out there that Brock Purdy wants $50+ million a year. You hear those reports. And I think the answer with paying Brock Purdy is pretty simple. You don't right now. You don't. He's got one more year left on his deal. And guess what? After that, you can franchise tag him. Yeah, it's about $40 million right now, the franchise tag a quarterback. I'd rather pay him $40 million than $55 for 1 year. So I think he's worth a $40 million a year, 1 year deal. So I'm willing to entertain it down the road. So I am willing to entertain that down the road. Right now, he's got a year left on his deal. Why are we always in a rush to pay every single quarterback the max amount of money when they're due for a contract? Not even when they're due for a contract. After year 3 out of 5. I mean, he's got 4 because he wasn't a first-round pick. But, like, Trevor Lawrence, Tua, and you're seeing right now Trevor Lawrence and Tua, embarrassments of contracts. Like, Trevor Lawrence had half of a good season. He's in year 4. Year 4, he's had one half of a good season. He is tied for the second most highest per year. And it's a little embarrassing. Tua was tied for like 3rd or 4th, and he's terrible when it's just a little chill outside. He's terrible. So it's like, eventually these GMs are going to push back. And the Niners, like, I watched John Middlecloth 3 now. He's a Niners guy. Brought up a great point. The Niners were hard on Nick Bosa with contract negotiations. They were hard on Trent Williams with contract negotiations. They were hard on Deebo Samuel, Brandon Ayuk. They're going to give some pushback here. Just watch out because this could get ugly. This could get ugly for sure. And Devontae Campbell refused to enter the game. Devontae Campbell refused to come into the game against the Rams on Thursday night. You know, he was the starter for 12 games out of the 13 for the Niners this year. But Dre Greenlaw, remember that guy? Tore his ACL. No, actually, it was Achilles. Dre Greenlaw tore his Achilles in the Super Bowl, running on the field. I mean, I think a lot of us remember that. It was a pretty big moment because, like, that rarely ever happens, like, jogging onto the field. So, like, you never know when you're going to get hurt, by the way. So, just throw that out there. Make sure you're stretched, guys. I'm sure he was stretched, but I'm just saying in general. And then Devontae Campbell, Dre Greenlaw comes back, and Devontae Campbell, I guess, threw a fit that he wasn't the starter anymore. Kyle Shanahan asked him to go in because usually it's a rotational thing, you know. Usually defensively, offense, other than the quarterback and, like, the center, you know, your offensive lineman maybe, there's rotations, receivers, running backs, defensive backs, linebackers. So Devontae Campbell was probably in a rotation. Kyle Shanahan asked him to go in, and he said he didn't want to play today. Quote, I said did not want to play today. There was a time on the Packers when Devontae Campbell was on the Packers. He kind of put a tweet out there where he kind of lashed out saying, like, these teams expect you to play hurt, and then, like, they're not there for you when shit hits the fan or whatever. I'm done putting my body out there to keep the same energy to me that I do towards you. So a lot of stuff out there when he was on the Packers. I don't know if something's going on there mentally. Like, I don't want to give him the benefit. Like, I don't want to make an excuse for it. You don't like quitting your teammates. It's kind of fucked up. But, like, you don't know what happened here. But I will say this. This is my take. I think he's an idiot for coming out, like, refusing to go into the game for this reason. Because him going out there, making a couple plays, maybe making the play of the year, you don't know what's going to happen on the next play. That could earn him money. That could earn him a job, a starting job, money on whether it's the Niners or a different team. Going out there and playing is going to earn him more money. So what are you doing not going out there trying to earn more money? Clearly something's going on up there because it's not even about, like, fucking your teammates over, you know, just, like, being a jerk, you know, just, like, having something wrong with you mentally. It's like, you like money, bro? You like money, get your ass out there. Because if you don't, now you're suspended for the rest of the season. I'm sure there's stipulations in there because his contract wasn't fully guaranteed. He's not Brett Favre. Well, not even Brett Favre, but he's not Patrick Mahomes. He's not Josh Allen. He's not Deshaun Watson. Because I only say that because Deshaun Watson's fully guaranteed. But you get what I mean. He's not a quarterback. He's not a star. He's the third best linebacker on his team, which is good. He's a good player, but, like, he's gonna lose money now. He's suspended for the rest of the season. So look what he did to himself. I mean, is this a culture thing? You're starting to see this culture of the 49ers. I'm not a great whistler, but, like, down, down, down. Kyle Shanahan, I don't know. Great play caller, but like the culture of this team is just like, it's very worrying for me. It's not concerning. I'll say that, because Kyle Shanahan's a great coach. I think he's a top 5 coach, but like, this is the way some of your team, like your players are acting. That's not okay. Not okay at all. So I'm glad they suspended him for the season. Just because, I mean, I hope he gets the help he needs if there is something wrong. But like, at the same time, bro, you just lost out on a lot of money, man. So like, you wanted to make more money, you go out there and you play and you prove yourself to other teams. Fuck this team now, then. Who cares about the Niners? There's 31 other teams in the league. You kind of just screwed that up for yourself. So Niners are in shambles. I've been saying this all year. It's the beginning of the end for them. I'm sorry, it is. And, I mean, I can't even say that this is the beginning of the end for the Bears because it hasn't even started yet. And Caleb Williams was overthrowing guys wide open the entire game. I mean, there was slant routes, go routes, post routes. Like, he just was, when there was a guy open and he sat in the pocket and it was a timed throw, he was inaccurate. And that's the most concerning thing about Caleb Williams. He's been very inaccurate as a quarterback this year. And in college, he wasn't. And they really do need an offensive coach in there, because I heard people saying that, oh, go get Vrabel or go get Belichick before UNC got him. But at the same time, it's like, you want to bring in an offensive guy to kind of hone in Caleb Williams, show him what to do as far as an NFL quarterback. I'm not going to say I'm worried about Caleb, but I am slightly concerned, because you've seen things that, like, everyone was saying this is the best prospect since John Elway, Trevor Lawrence, and like, I mean, Trevor Lawrence is kind of shit the bed too, but like, this has been a little overrated. This really has. Like, we should have taken into account that he wasn't a very, like, I remember I did like a kind of a quarterback draft prospect thing where I ranked all the college quarterbacks going to the draft. Put Caleb at 1. And I said a big concern for me is that he wasn't great on timed throws, and that should have given me like a big red flag, because that's what you do as a quarterback in the NFL. You make timed throws in rhythm. You have great offense. Well, I mean, not right now, but in most cases, you have an offensive play call that's scheming guys open. You have 3 guys that get open: Odunze, Allen, Moore. These guys get open. Kmet. So like, I think he just hasn't been as daring. You know, he hasn't. They've lost. I forgot how many games they've lost straight. But, like, he hasn't thrown a pick in, like, 6 games, something like that, and they lost all of them. It's, like, a record. I don't know if that's the exact number of games, but, like, it's almost like he's scared to throw a pick. It's like, bro, sometimes you just got to be daring to throw it down the field into double coverage and just see if you thread the needle, especially when you're down by, like, 20. Like, just do it. Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams in that Jaguars game, look, one of the worst defenses in the league, one of the worst secondaries in the league. Doesn't matter. Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams looked like vintage Aaron Rodgers and Davante Adams. Rodgers has kind of been balling the last couple of games. His last 7 games, 13 touchdowns, 1 pick, and averaging a 102 passer rating. So Aaron Rodgers is kind of slightly ready to ship a little bit for the Jets. Nothing crazy, but he has been a lot better since the beginning of the season. I got to be honest about that. This is a terrible quarterback draft class. There's only 2 potentially first-round worthy guys: Shedeur Sanders, Cam Ward. Other than that, Carson Beck, fuck him. Quinn Ewers, ew. There's a lot of quarterbacks going back. This guy, what is his name? It's Drew Aller. He's going back. So you got a lot of guys where it's only down to 2 guys. And the Jets most likely won't have a top 5 pick. They could, but like I feel like 2 quarterbacks are going to be gone by the time the Jets have the pick. So maybe it was possible that Aaron Rodgers needed more time to get his feet under him after the Achilles injury. You know, he's gotten better as the seasons went on. He is 40. Maybe he needed some time to get healthy. Because, like, older guys, they take longer to, like, recover than younger guys. So maybe Aaron Rodgers needs some time to just get more comfortable in his own skin, his own ankles, his own feet, his own calf. And he's looked better as the season went on. Honestly, right now where we're sitting, this is going to sound crazy, I would bring back Aaron Rodgers. Why? I mean, he's a $50 million cap hit next season. So you might as well just run it back. He's looked better. He's went like his trend has been like this. We have to be honest about it. His trend is 13 touchdowns, 1 pick, 102 passer rating the last 7 games, averaging 102. He's definitely been on an upward trend. Dude, Davante Adams balled out in that game. People think he's washed or just getting older. He might be on a little bit of a slight decline. That decline is more of a flat slope than a steep slope, because that guy just put up 198 yards, 2 touchdowns. He balled out. So if those 2 could do that, moving forward, you need an offensive line. You need a run game. You need a better defense. Honestly, the defense has let me down more than Aaron Rodgers this season. The defense has been terrible. It was one of the top 10 defenses the last 2 years. Now suddenly they've been shitting the bed. You let up 25 points to Mac Jones. Mac Jones! That guy shouldn't even be in the league anymore. The fact that Mac Jones is a top 50 quarterback in the league is mind-blowing to me because that guy might be the cockiest bad quarterback I've ever seen in my goddamn life. So you let up 25 points to Mac Jones. That should say it all. And the Jets were balling out on offense. They almost lost. Devontae Adams, 0 yards in the first half. Told Aaron Rodgers at halftime, give me the fucking ball. He did. It paid off. Aaron Rodgers, be more aggressive. If you come out these last 3 games and play like that, I'm fine with bringing you back. Hey, just run it back because this quarterback draft class sucks. So I'm willing to run it back one more year and see what happens. The Falcons, they benched Kirk Cousins for Michael Penix. Last 5 games, Kirk Cousins, 1 touchdown, 9 interceptions. He's gotten worse as the years went on. It's honestly the opposite of Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers kind of didn't look the same at the beginning of the season. Now you're seeing some moments where you're like, okay, this guy kind of looks like he's getting back to the old Aaron Rodgers. Kirk Cousins at the beginning of the season kind of had some protection, had some weapons, was making plays, had that crazy game against the Bucs where they put up, it was a wild game where he put up 500 yards. And he's kind of fallen off a cliff. Like I said, 1 touchdown, 9 picks the last 5 games. So it's going to be hard to have someone trade for him because not only are you trading for Kirk Cousins, you have to trade for Kirk Cousins and pay him $40 million a year. So that's kind of holding teams back a little bit. Because watching the last 5 games, his trend is his stock is plummeting. If he was a stock, it's going in the gutter. So very worrisome. I was very high on Michael Penix in the draft. Didn't he run like a 4.5 40 or a 4.45 40? He got injured a lot in college and everything, but he's faster than people think, and he's a great pocket passer. I actually was very high on Penix because I thought he was going to be able to come out of the draft and be effective right away. So the Falcons, could they possibly still win the NFC South? They are 7-7. The Bucs are 8-6. Last 3 games for the Falcons: Giants, at Commanders, Panthers. So they'll probably lose to the Commanders. Giants and Panthers, I could see them winning those games. So 2-1. The Bucs last 3 games: Cowboys. At Cowboys, Panthers, Saints. They almost lost to the Panthers in overtime. They'll blow out the Saints are terrible. They'll beat the Saints. Cowboys have been playing better. So it's still possible for Michael Penix to lead this team into the playoffs. I think people can be surprised. Michael Penix is going to surprise a lot of people and maybe even make a case for he's not going to win Rookie of the Year, but he'll make people consider it. Just be like, wow, this guy the last 3 games killed it. I think Michael Penix is ready to go. So the Falcons, It's not over for you guys. I think Michael Penix actually potentially might be better than Kirk Cousins right now. So watch out for that. Michael Penix could come back. Falcons might win the division.